Here's a lecture having to do with section 1.1, which is all about analyzing categorical data. In the introduction, we said that there's two kinds of variables that we can collect information on. Categorical things where the individuals belong to one of many categories on that variable, and the other one being quantitative. We'll look at the quantitative variables in a later section. When we look at categorical data, um, there's a couple of things that we want to point out. One, we discussed in the previous section that distribution means the values that a variable takes on and how often it takes on those values. Well, when we look at this data from 13,838 radio stations, we can see the different values that the radio station's format takes on. So that's half of the word of distribution. What values does the variable take on? Well, some radio stations, their format value is country. And then what do we see here? How often it takes on those variables. So this really is a distribution of a categorical variable because it hits those two those two marks. Um, in this case, the individuals are the individual radio stations. And then we said, hey, of you that, hey, you radio station, what is your format? Is it news talk? Is it adult standards? So the variable being measured is format. On the left, we see a frequency table, and frequency is just another way of saying the word counts or how many. All right. The second table is called the relative frequency count. Why is it relative? Because while it's helpful to know that there's 1,556 radio stations that have the adult contemporary format, it's easier to contextualize. That represents 11.2% of the market. So relative to the rest of the market, how many have that format? So we call those relative frequencies often just percentages or percents. All right. Now, when we add up all those percents, we don't get exactly 100%. We're not going to worry about that. It's just there's a round off error, and literally, there's nothing we can do about that. All right. Let's look at the next page. Now, besides looking at raw numbers, sometimes it's helpful to look at the data graphically. So for example, instead of saying there's 11.2% adult contemporary or there's 1,500 adult contemporary, we can make a bar chart. Now, in a bar chart, along the horizontal axis, we have the values that the variables take on, and then the height of each bar represents the how often it takes on those variables. Now, this particular bar chart um, is using counts, but we could have just as easily used relative frequencies here. We could have just as easily used percentages. The heights of the bars would look exactly the same. It just, this would be 0%. 750 is about 5%. So here, up here is about 5%, and so on. So same chart, just a different scale. Now we do always want the scales to start at 0. So if one bar looks twice as big as another bar, it means that it has twice as many things. The other way that we could look at this data is using the percent of stations in a pie chart. Now, personally, I find pie charts very difficult to read, especially when the number of categories gets to be so large. And the College Board agrees. Um, well, let me just say that the College Board, um, so this helps if you spell College Board correct. College Board does not think Pie charts are better than bar charts. Okay. In fact, I don't know the last time I saw any pie chart ever appear on the AP statistics exam. One last thing before we move on. It is appropriate that there are spaces in between those bars. We're going to do another graph later called a histogram, and in the histograms there are no spaces. Um, and that's because it's a quantitative variable. We put things together because they may be close in idea, and we just don't think that any categorical variable represents a closeness. So always spaces, always starting at zero, with the counts or the relative frequencies along the thing. Good labeling and what our data is about. All of these things provide what we refer to as context for this chart. Let's take a few seconds out and make a bar chart of our own. It says here's the percentage of 15 to 18-year-olds own the following personal media devices, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. Um, we'd want to set up our scale first. Um, See, the highest number here is 85. So if I go 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, I can use that scale and get all of my data in. So that's what we'll do. I think I'll only put in at every uh, 10%. Let me use a thinner pen. So 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, and then 100%. That works out pretty well. Let's put in for that first category. I think I have enough room that I could do about 3 cells wide, and this is for cell phones. And we're at 85%. Well, that's 90, so 85 is about there. And let me draw those lines down. There we go. Let's go to the next one. It's MP3 player, which is about 83%, which is pretty close to the other one. Let me draw those down. And this is again for MP3 player. And since this is really old data, MP3 players are tiny music players that we used to have in the early 2000s. Uh, Next one is for handheld game player, 41%, which is about here. Again, let me draw those lines down. Notice I'm leaving gaps between the bars. Oh, I can do better than that. Let me use the feature of this program that will straighten out those lines. There we go. And this is for a game player. This is probably in that day the Nintendo DS. Um, the next one is a laptop at 38%. 38%. So about there. Draw those two lines down. And again, this was laptop. And surely these are not the same percentages that you probably see now. Um, and then portable CD tape player at 20%. Well, 20% is about here. Draw that line down. And I'll just call this CD slash tape, right? So we need a heading. And I'm gonna say this is 15 to 18-year-olds media players, right? Um, what do we see? Well, I see that cell phones and MP3 players are most popular, and CD tape players are least popular. Yeah, and their time had passed by the time this poll must have been taken. And then who are the people that were asked? And that's amongst the 15 to 18-year-olds of that era. A lot of things have changed since then. All right. Would it be appropriate to make a pie chart of this data? And the answer to that is no. Um, Pie charts require that um, individuals belong to only one category. And in this case, some teenager may own both a cell phone and an MP3 player. The sum of the percentages must be 100% to make a pie chart. Okay. And clearly 85% and 83%, that's way above 100%. All right. So we can't make that's because the cell phone variable, sorry, the media device variable is not really a variable. There's a cell phone variable. Do you own or do you not own? That's a variable. MP3 player is a variable. So there's not a media playing variable that only can take on one value. It is multiple variables, five variables in all. And so we have a lot of data variables going on there. All right. We're going to look at one more thing, and that is let's look at some bad graphs for categorical data. It's like bar graphs compare several quantities, like the heights of bars that represent those quantities. Your eyes react to the area of the bars as well as height. So make sure that the bars are equally wide and then um, don't use pictures. Well, let's take a look at what's wrong with this particular ad. All right. So let's say you've got this bar chart here. And what do we think? What do we think? What do we think? Well, first of all, this is um, this is much wider. This is much skinnier. So okay, so this width, which shouldn't affect anything, does because this box is so massive compared to the other ones. Um, Here's another thing. Is there a true zero here? Is this 95? And if that's so, halfway would be about what, 47? If I draw that line across, well, that 56 is looking more like 47, and this 81 isn't anyone really close to. So this scale, the vertical scale is wrong as well. Now, do advertisers have to follow the rules for making good ads? Or sorry, making ads that would pass the AP statistics curriculum? No, but we need to be aware as consumers of information that ways that people who make this set of information may try to trick us.